Good morning, YouTubians. It's Kermit's Ghost. It's Monday, the 29th of July, 2024. It's a glorious day down here on the seafront already. It's 6 a.m. I should have wore something different, but it's too late now. I've got to do a few chores before I head up to HMV. I will show you all the latest releases, grab a latte along the way, not a sponsor, and then I'll take you back and show you what I picked up. I went to see Deadpool last night. I enjoyed that. For me, that was the best of the trilogy, but I won't be talking about it because there are quite a few reviews out there already. So I'll turn the camera around so you can see what I'm seeing, and then I will see you all in Costa. I'll see you all in a bit. First title is from 88 Films. It's The Pleasure, an erotic drama from 1985 set in the 1930s. Man loses his mistress to an illness. Her children from a previous encounter shows up for the funeral, and the daughter wants to take the place of the mother. £16.99 for this film. It carries an 18 certificate. Next is Devil Survivor 2. When Japan is invaded by creatures known as Septentrions, humanity fights back using 13 people who have the ability to summon demons via a phone app. It's got a total of 13 episodes and a runtime of 312 minutes, and it's priced at £32.99. Mississippi Mermaid next, a 1969 French romantic drama directed by Francois Truffaut. This is about a plantation owner who, when meeting his mail-order bride for the first time, notices that she does not match her photograph. Instead of alarm bells ringing, they get married, and his life changes, but definitely not for the better. Love is blind, as they say. This is priced at £17.99. Next is Glengarry Glen Ross, a drama from 1992 directed by James Foley, and this has a stellar cast including Al Pacino, Jack Lemmon, Alan Arkin, Kevin Spacey, Alec Baldwin, Jonathan Pryce and Ed Harris. Incredible film and fantastic performances. This one is priced at £16.99. Next is Immortal Story, a 1986 romantic drama from Hong Kong about a small-time singer and her boyfriend, who are young and good-looking at first, and then it picks up later when he is addicted to drugs and she is a fallen woman. This is priced at £16.99. Santa Sangre next, a surreal psychological horror from director Alejandro Jodorowsky. This is a strange one with an ex-circus performer who resides in a mental institution after witnessing his father cutting off his mother's arms just before killing himself. But then he reconnects with his armless mother and becomes her arms, and the pair go on a killing spree. Happy families. This is available on Blu-ray for £19.99 or on a 4K digipack for £36.99. Needless to say, it carries an 18 certificate. Chiao Pantin, aka So Long Stooge. This is a French drama about a man called Lambert who has no personal connections in life, but he meets a man who is very similar to himself. Unfortunately, he's killed, forcing Lambert to avenge his death. £17.99 for this 3,000 copy limited edition. Risky Business next from Criterion. There are two cuts to this 1983 movie on here. Written and directed by Paul Brickman. This sees Tom Cruise's character turn his parents' house into a brothel while they're on holiday. Also stars Rebecca De Mornay. The Blu-ray is priced at £22.99 and the 4K is priced at £29.99. It carries a 15 certificate. Next is Jaws 3 on 4K. There's also a steelbook available, but they didn't have one in store today. This stars Dennis Quaid as Mike, who is playing the son of Chief Martin Brody. This time the great white shark is inside SeaWorld in Florida, having followed some water skiers in. Obviously it goes on a killing spree. This is priced at £19.99. Next is Election on 4K. This 1999 coming-of-age drama stars Reese Witherspoon and Matthew Broderick as student and teacher who embark on a battle of wits. This is a 2-disc set which includes the Blu-ray, and expect to pay £22.99 for this release today. carries a 15 certificate. Next is Ted Lasso, seasons 1, 2, and 3, all 34 episodes. This is a comedy sports drama starring Jason Sudeikis as a title character. He's an American football coach who travels to the UK to coach an English football team, which is a very different sport. £49.99 for this box set. Revenge of the Blood Beast next, aka She-Beast, a 1966 horror directed by Michael Reeves. This is a revenge movie. A witch was killed by villagers 200 years previously and takes possession of a woman who crashes into the lake and wreaks havoc on her killer's descendants. £17.99 for this movie. Next is Night of the Big Heat, a science fiction horror from 1967 about islanders off the coast of the UK who experience strange goings-on in the area. It stars Peter Cushing, Patrick Allen, Christopher Lee and Jane Marrow. £16.99 for this release today. Next is The Untold Story. This is the standard release. A limited edition came out in July last year. It's a Hong Kong crime thriller from 1993 about a restaurant chain owner who seems to be cooking up the previous owners. This is priced at £16.99 and it carries an 18 certificate. The Landlord next, a romantic drama from 1970. This is limited to 3,000 copies. It's about a young rich man who buys an apartment block with the intention of evicting all the tenants and turning it into a luxury dwellings. But he doesn't factor in the relationship with Francine, one of the occupants in his block. It's got a price tag of £17.99. Next is An Autumn's Tale from 88 Films. This 1987 romantic drama set in New York City and stars Chow Yun-fat as a waiter called Samuel Pang and Cherry Young as his cousin Jennifer, who is new to the city to study. They spark an unlikely friendship, and this one is priced at £16.99. Next is Malcolm X, a biographical drama from 1992, directed by Spike Lee and starring Denzel Washington as the African-American activist and title character. An incredible movie with an incredible cast which includes Angela Bassett, Delroy Lindo, Spike Lee, Christopher Plummer, Giancarlo Esposito, Karen Allen and Peter Boyle. The Blu-ray is priced at £14.99 and the 4K is priced at £22.99. I'm not picking this up today as I have a release from 2012. Skinned Alive next from 88 Films. That image on the cover looks painful. It's a horror comedy from 1990s about a woman called Cruel Daddy, played by Mary Jackson, who is the head of a disturbed family that like to skin people. This is priced at £16.99 and it carries an 18 certificate. The American Society of Magical Negroes next, a movie trope that was coined by Spike Lee. This is about a young black man who is recruited into a magical society that helps white people live their lives easier. This is priced at £14.99 and it carries a 12 certificate. ISS next, a sci-fi thriller from last year about a bunch of astronauts and cosmonauts aboard the International Space Station just as nuclear war starts on Earth below, testing their loyalty to their respective countries. £15.99 for this release today, carries a 15 certificate. In Another World with My Smartphone 2 next, it's about a boy who is accidentally killed by a god but resurrected in a parallel world along with his smartphone. It's got a runtime of 300 minutes and is priced at £32.99 and it carries a 15 certificate. Come Bear Punch Season 2 next. Still in the fantasy world, Una fills a day with quests and restauranteering, but all that changes when the Queen gives her a new job of escorting students. £34.99 for this 12-episode season. Next is the Arrow release for The Man from U.N.C.L.E. It's a spy film directed by Guy Ritchie, which stars Henry Cavill, Alicia Vikander, Armie Hammer, Elizabeth Debicki, Hugh Grant and Gerald Harris. This is a limited edition, but it doesn't say to how many. £17.99 for this release. Next is Sister Boniface Mysteries Series 3. This is about a nun who solves crimes. Lorna Watson is the title character. The show is set in the 1960s. £24.99 for this release. It carries a 12 certificate. Next is Vinland Season 2. Set a year after Askilad's death, Thorfinn meets a farmer and the two try to break free from their Viking enslavement. £32.99 for this animated season. Run Lola Run next on 4K. This is a German thriller which sees Lola, who must race against time to save her boyfriend's life and locate a missing bag of cash. £22.99 for this release today. It carries an 18 certificate. Rango next, a 2011 animated feature with Johnny Depp voicing the heroic chameleon. Other voice talents include Isla Fisher, Abigail Breslin, Ned Beatty, Timothy Oliphant and Bill Nye. £22.99 for this release. Next is Each Dawn I Die. This is a gangster film that stars James Cagney and George Raft, and it's about a reporter that's thrown into prison without committing a crime and his friendship with a famous gangster that develops as a result. £14.99 for this release. Next is Stage Fright. This is a film noir thriller directed by Alfred Hitchcock. It is a whodunit with an impressive cast which includes Alistair Sims, Marlena Dietrich, Richard Todd, Jane Wyman and Sybil Thorndike. £14.99 for this release, and it carries a PG certificate. Hey everybody, welcome back. There's 4 movies here to show you this week, a lot of back catalogue titles. I did receive a box from Imprint Films, but I'm going to show these next Monday, so let's crack on with it. Okay, first one I'm going to talk about is North Sea Hijack, known as Folks in the USA. It's an action adventure from 1979 directed by Andrew McLaglen, who I've mentioned before whilst talking about his previous movies, The Rare Breed, Hellfighters, and more recently The Devil's Brigade, which I showed on the 10th of June. Anyway, this stars a bearded Sir Roger Moore as Rufus Folks. He is an anti-terrorist consultant working for the UK government, and it isn't long before one of his anti-terror plans to safeguard oil rigs is put into practice. Now you've got a group of baddies in the guise of being journalists, headed up by a man called Kramer, who's being played by Anthony Perkins. They take charge of a boat en route to the Jennifer and the Ruth, which are the 2 oil rigs in the North Sea. And for added terror, they fix magnetic explosives, known as limpets, to the legs of the oil rig. The boat they hijack is captained by Overson, who's being played by Jack Watson. Now, he's worked with the director before in Devil's Brigade. In fact, he was a standout character in that film. Anyway, a ransom for £25 million is made. The Prime Minister, played by Faith Brooks, is notified, and despite the initial objections from Admiral Brinson, who's being played by James Mason, Folks is called upon with his team to deal with the issues at hand. So it's got a very good cast. There is some wooden acting from lesser known actors, but any slack is tightened up by Moore, Perkins and Mason. Picture quality is crisp. It's got a runtime 1 hour 40 minutes. Let's take a look inside. So that front cover image has been put onto the disc. And talking of covers, this one has a reverse cover showing the original poster artwork, and that's a little bit misleading because it looks like he's actually attracting women when all he does is repel them. So that was North Sea Hijack. Next is Single White Female. This is an erotic psychological thriller from 1992. It's directed by Babette Schroeder. Now his films include Murder by Numbers, Kiss of Death and Reversal of Fortune. Now this stars Bridget Fonda as Alison, and at the start of the movie she's in a very stable relationship with her fiance Sam, being played by Steven Weber. But it turns out that he's been sleeping with his ex-wife. She finds out, so the engagement is off. He has to move out, and this means that Alison has to find a new roommate to share the expenses, and she advertises using the film's title, Single White Female, to share apartment, yada yada yada. She gets a few possibilities, but settles on Hedra, who's being played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, who I always get mixed up with Elizabeth Shue for some reason. So at first, Hedra seems like the perfect applicant. She is happy, funny, sweet, polite, helpful, everything you want in a roommate. But then the slimeball Sam worms his way back into Alison's life and soon moves back into the apartment. And this is when things take a sinister turn and Hedra shows the darker side of her personality. And to be fair, I can see why. See, Alison kind of used her to fill that temporary void, and with Sam back in the apartment, Alison kind of turns her back on their friendship. I won't say any more story-wise, but there's plenty more going on in this movie. It also stars Peter Friedman as Alison's close friend and neighbour Graham, as well as Stephen Tobolowsky, who is an executive of a fashion company who has a serious lack in morals. You may know Stephen from Sneakers, which was made the same year as this one, or from Groundhog Day, which was made the year after, where he played Ned Ryerson, Needle-Nosed Ned, Ned the Head. It's a doozy. Music in this is from Howard Shore, who was the composer on all the Lord of the Rings films, as well as the Hobbit movies. And be warned, there's a fair bit of nudity in this film. And yep, I do know what Bridget looks like now. It's got a runtime 1 hour 48 minutes. Let's take a look inside. So that front cover image has been put onto the disc. There is a 36-page booklet, and there is a reversible cover with the age logo and barcodes removed. So that was Single White Female. Next one to show you is Die Monster Die. This is a sci-fi horror from 1965 directed by Daniel Haller. The film opens with Stephen Reinhardt, who's being played by Nick Adams, travelling to a small English village of Arkham to visit his fiancée Susan Whitley, who's being played by Susan Farmer. Nick passed away actually 3 years after this movie was made from a drugs overdose, and Susan went on to star mainly in TV shows. She also married Ian McShane as well the year that this came out. Anyway, I'm digressing. When Stephen arrives at Susan's stately home, I should also point out none of the locals will go anywhere near this Whitley house. There's a large crater in the estate as well where all plant life is dead. So anyway, when he arrives at the house, he's met by Susan's wheelchair-bound father, Newham, being played by Boris Karloff, who is mustachioed and looking very tanned as well. He is less than welcoming to Stephen. You've also got Susan's mother as well, Letitia, being played by Frida Jackson, who is permanently shrouded by her bed drapes. She is a little bit friendlier, as it turns out. Anyway, Stephen happens to be a scientist, and his fiancée Susan soon discovers some shady goings on in the basement. There are some deformed creatures behind bars like a zoo, and there's some very strange plant life that make a beeline for Susan. And this doesn't really go down well with Newham, who's been playing God with a crashed meteorite. I won't say any more, but I will mention this is based off a book by H.P. Lovecraft, and this was made twice more. The latest one being the Nick Cage film Colour Out of Space, which was just 5 years ago. It's got a runtime of 1 hour and 19 minutes. Let's take a look inside. So there's a partial image taken from the cover put onto the disc, and there is a 30-page booklet inside. So that was Die, Monster, Die. Next and last is Night of the Big Heat. This is a sci-fi thriller from 1967. It's directed by Terence Fisher. His films include the 1958 film Dracula, Revenge of Frankenstein, The Mummy from 1959, The Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll, and Curse of the Werewolf, plus many, many more. And the movie opens with a young girl heading to a small village to take a job as a secretary. That woman is Angela Roberts, who's being played by Jane Merrow, who starred in Catacombs, which was showed on the 24th of June. The village, which is on a small island off the coast of England, is experiencing extremely hot weather compared to the mainland. Anyway, Angela is on the island with an ulterior motive. It turns out that she had an affair with a novelist who actually lives on the island now with his wife. Jeff is that novelist, and he's not happy to see her, but he soon falls for her agenda. Jeff is being played by Patrick Allen, who has narrated a number of films and TV shows. His wife in this is Sarah Lawson, and they were actually married as well, 7 years at this point. Anyway, Jeff and his wife Frankie, they run an inn, and one of their guests is Professor Godfrey Hanson, who's being played by Christopher Lee. And he's investigating the weather issues, plus an eerie sound that people are witnessing, and that sound causes a lot of distress and eventual death to humans and animals. But what can it be, you ask? Well, you have to watch it and find out. We'll also mention it stars Peter Cushing as Dr. Stone, who is trying to help the islanders with the situation. I'm trying to avoid spoilers here. And there's also Sidney Bromley as well as a tramp who is the first one to die from that eerie sound. Sidney also starred in Die, Monster, Die, which I just talked about. This has got a runtime of just 94 minutes. Very good watch. Let's take a look inside. The slipcover and the cover have the same image. That image has been put onto the disc. There is a 16-page booklet included. And there is a reversible cover. I am assuming that is the original poster artwork. So that was Night of the Big Heat. So that was it. Have you seen any of those? Plan to pick them up or just want to leave a comment? Then do so down below. I will read every single one and try to reply if I have the time. Give the video a thumbs up, really does help the channel, and subscribe if you haven't. It's all free. Why wouldn't you? And on that note, all that's left to say is thank you so much for choosing my channel today and watching my video. Take care. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.